Recording. Oh yeah, it does show you if you're recording. That's good in the upper left, so you know that you're being recorded, which is important. So all of us see that. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's almost afternoon. Sorry, good morning. Oh my gosh, it's afternoon somewhere, right? It's almost afternoon. It feels like it should be afternoon. I feel like we've been on. Tracey was saying we've had back-to-back meetings. I had a meeting. We had our morning staff meeting. Then the staff had another meeting. I had a meeting with our treasurer, and now we have our meeting together with you all, our daily Zoom chat, and lots of meetings. I think yesterday's daily Zoom chat, for those of you that were able to join us, I got a lot out of it. It felt really good to hear from folks sharing just what it really is feeling like for us right now. You know, we come together under unusual circumstances, but we also come together as a community that cares and a community that shares a vision and value. We really love the work we do. We love serving kids and getting creative opportunities out to them. So there's a lot that drives us to do our work, but these meetings and just it's the way we have to do it now with all different merging and blending your home life in different ways than you've ever had to, plus all of the uncertainties, it's very difficult. And I thought it felt really good for us to peel back a couple of layers and speak in a safe place to talk about a lot of our concerns and frustrations. We've been thinking a lot about teaching artists. We've talked about teaching artists from the first day that we started these conversations, and we sincerely want to find more resources. We're still trying to navigate the waters of what resources can even be available. When we hear about things come up, we do our best to circulate them through social media or forward it to some of you all. Like I know Washington Project for the Arts has a really great resource for individual artists right now. I think there is a possible grant for folks in the DMV. It's not a lot of money, but it's money that is being channeled through the Warhol Foundation for emergency relief. So if you guys haven't checked that out, you should take a look. I want to say, does anyone know about, has anyone investigated it further? I think it's like $1,000. Is that right, Tom? Did you see it? Can't hear you.
Yeah, I've been looking into it. It's about $1,000. I plan to apply for it. A good opportunity.
Yeah, so there aren't a lot of opportunities yet. And we're even seeing that with nonprofit organizations. The collaborative is applied to everything that we know of so far. It's a grant that's coming. If you check out Washington Project for the Arts, they have a listing, and I'll try because I can't do two things at once. When I stop talking, I'll look it up and post it in the chat. But they are able to distribute some grant dollars to artists in the DMV, so not just DC. And it comes through, it's a sub-grant basically. It comes through the Andy Warhol Foundation for the Arts in New York for emergency relief. And thank you very much. There you go. If you look there, you will find it. Thanks, Devin. So that's one that we know of. I also know that it's worth looking at. There's some great resources for teaching artists through the organization. The acronym, help me. It's escaping me at the moment.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
The teaching artists,
Teaching Artists of the Mid-Atlantic?
Yeah, Teaching Artists of Mid-Atlantic. And I'm sure all of you are piped into what they put out. There was also an interesting free PD opportunity, I think that Maryland Arts Council was putting out about working, pivoting to virtual work and talking about different platforms. And I know that's something that we've been talking about. I think they were, I'll take a look and see. I know we posted it on social media, and I'll put that forward, but I haven't seen much more than that so far. I do know that there are the small business loans. So if There was one that DC government had done through DemPed, that individual artists that are in DC were eligible for. And then of course there is the federal SBA, but I'm not sure how individual artists, how you all would participate in that, and if you're eligible. Has anyone taken a look at the larger feds SBA loans?
Yes, I have. I've applied for the economic injury disaster relief one, and tomorrow for sole proprietors, we can apply for the Paycheck Protection program. The PPP is what that's called.
That's right.
And then, but I also understand that we may also be eligible for the sick leave. I forgot the total name. I'll post what I found on, I think the National Association of Music Manufacturers sent something out, but whatever link it is, I'll find it. You can read it. It'll tell you about 4 different opportunities that we can take advantage of.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Devin. Yeah, and then we can circulate that to y'all and to everyone through social media. Again, the collaborative is eligible for like that paycheck one. We're looking at that. We've been talking to our bank. We're just waiting for Capital One to send us the green light. They're actually creating a form that you can upload everything to through Capital One. So that's probably going to come out today or tomorrow. But there are some other resources that you as independent business owners, sole proprietors, like you said, you may be eligible for as well. Some are loans, some are more like forgiven loans. This is all we're hearing so far. We haven't heard from a lot of the large foundations in the area other than the Greater Washington Community Foundation. They are putting out like a rolling grant application process. It looks like it's really more for nonprofits at this point. And we're waiting on CAFRITS. Yes, Karen.
I'm on the mailing list for RAG, Washington. Oh, yeah. But I'll have to go back and make sure I'm correct, but I haven't seen anything from them listing some, and I'm kind of surprised since they're an umbrella organization for nonprofit.
Yeah, I haven't received anything from RAG yet either, as a grantee, right, of their member orgs. I know that CAFRITS Foundation historically has been very involved with RAG, Washington Regional Area Grant Marketeers, as has David Markey representing the commission. But then that also is comprised of all of them, from as small as Morningstar Foundation to Myers and others. But I'm not sure how active they've been, because when we were looking at our activating a development committee for our Any Given Child collective impact work, we talked, we had a conversation with our program officer, Jessica Plosher, from CAFRITS, and David Markey about reactivating RAG to bring them in as a key stakeholder to start to have conversations around trends in arts and humanities education in the district, just so that the philanthropic base would know what the needs of the community were. That all was put on pause, but that was during good times, you know? So right now, I don't know how they've come together in this emergency state. Other than I do know that, oh, thank you so much for putting that relief information down. If everyone takes a look in the chat, you can see information from the Association of Performing Arts. Oh, from APAP, of course. APAP is an awesome group, but that probably also applies to, a lot of it will apply to visual artists as well. Yes, oh, IPAP, that one, okay. Oh, IPAP actually did this one, okay. Oh no, it says APAP 365. Anyway, okay, that is a great resource that Devin has listed there, thanks Devin. And, but back to RAG, I haven't seen anything officially through RAG either, but I do know that CAFRITS Foundation, our contact, was very interested in taking a pulse of what some of the needs of the community, our community are, the arts and humanities education community. So was that survey, that one question survey about finances that we asked you all to complete. So all of that data has gone back to CAFRITS. Haven't heard anything from them yet. So I don't know what that looks like for CAFRITS pushing out stuff, or in the future, what RAG might be messaging, but you're right, Karen, I haven't heard anything from them yet either, but I'm just sharing what I know. Yeah, Tracey? did you want to share?
Yeah, so previously, like pre-COVID, we did a sort of like a needs assessment survey with our practitioner members and teaching artists, and had a focus group. And the biggest identified need that it was obviously like financial, and we thought that we needed to create, and consulting with some of you, I think Karen, we did call you as well, that we needed to create a funding resource page for teaching artists on our website, and us like brainstorming all of these ideas right now, and it was just a staff capacity thing that we didn't get this up and running. But I think that it's important, even more important now. So we can, maybe Lissa, you can work with Kelsey or something to create a resource page. RAG, it's WAR or WRAG. I think it's Washington Regional Area Grant Makers. And there's a youth and family working group. There used to be an arts working group, but it kind of fizzled. And so David Markey and Jessica Plowshire from K-Fritz, who's our like arts education program officer, they participate in the youth and family working group, which is sort of good because maybe they could influence some other funders eventually to bring back arts education funding, who aren't in arts funding.
That would be great.
Yeah, especially those that are the community-based orgs that haven't directly supported our work, like that had in the past, like Meyer. There's some large foundations that used to support arts education that aren't directly supporting. They're focusing more on community-based work, other types of youth service.
Michael Bigley was very active in that for years when he was with K-Fritz. And then I don't know if he stayed there at RAG on the arts part when he moved to the commission, but I was thinking he would be a good person to reach out to, because I know very little about the foundation where he's working now, but it seems to have deep, I don't want to say they have deep pockets, but they certainly do a lot. I'll just leave it at that. And I think he would be a good person. Maybe he could come on one day and just tell us what he does. That's a little,
maybe we can have, that's a great idea. We could have like a little funder showcase where they could talk about, even if they don't have a lot to share. The group that he's the executive director for Venable's nonprofit, Venable Foundation.
Okay.
So Venable it was a new position, newly created slot for them to formalize their philanthropy as a company. And you're absolutely right. We should reach out to Michael. And I've been in communication with another large funder on the government side, the federal government side, that being the National Endowment for the Arts, and Ayanna Hudson, who oversees arts education. And as you probably know, through the CARE Act, there will be emergency dollars that are being driven through the National Endowment for the Arts. They're still figuring out how that will be distributed, but within the next week or so, we'll be staying in touch with Ayanna, and she and her team are happy to come on and have a community conversation once they have information they can share. So know that we've been in touch with her too. So it would be really interesting to have maybe a day where we invite all the funders, right? Hey, what's going on? So maybe it code be Ayanna with the NEA, or, it's gonna be hard to herd all the cats, as they say. So if we have to piecemeal it, that's all right too. But it would be interesting for all of them to have a conversation with the community, just to share what they know, even if it's not a lot, but just to know that we're in touch. So there's the information for RAG. Also, we're just waiting to hear back from Jessica from K-Fritz, just for any new news. And I know that the K-Fritz Foundation is thinking a lot about what they can or cannot do. But they've been trying their best to push out information to grantees about resources that they're aware of. So I do know, as a grant recipient of K-Fritz, I've been getting an email a week, sometimes twice a week, for the past couple of weeks, with different resources. Mostly all the ones that we already know. There aren't a lot out there at the moment. But I think Michael from Venable, that's a great idea. So especially since he was so connected to arts education with his roots at K-Fritz from the beginning, right? And then his work at the commission. Not knowing what the priorities are at Venable, it would be helpful for us to hear from him. So yeah, that's a great idea, Karen.
I'm sorry. What does Venable do? What's their profit side?
Lawyers, legal.
Oh,
I believe, let me double check. Yeah, I'm almost positive. Now I'm questioning myself. I think that's Venable.
Carrie, does your roommate know them? Bradley?
Venable LLP.
You're muted, honey.
Oh, Terry?
No.
Oh, Terry.
Terry, you're muted. We want to hear your beautiful voice.
I don't know. I'll ask Bradley about that.
Okay. Don't mean to put you on the spot.
It's okay.
So it's all legal services. A lot of what they do are pro bono legal services, but they also had a very robust employee giving program. And I think that's been the root of their foundation work, because they've had a foundation in place since the 80s, this says. But I think Michael's position is new, because I think they are trying to make the foundation something bigger now. And a lot of their funding, it says it's helped charitable endeavors around civic culture and public interest law and legal education, including children's services being a major focus for them, as well as funding for disadvantaged families and individuals. So that's a direct through line to the work that we do. They also support homeless shelters, food programs, community organizations, including hospitals, hospices, and local chapters of national health organizations. And then it says, we also support a wide range of educational, artistic, cultural events and orgs. The needs of recipients are brought to the attention by Venable attorneys and staff who contribute their time and talent to the program. So that's the pro bono work. So it has been employee-driven giving for many years, but those are the areas of focus. So that's what Michael is probably building on. So it does sound like we could be in their wheelhouse at some point, not knowing what they're working on, but it would be great to reconnect with him, because he's been such a champion of the work that we all do as a community, for sure, for a long time.
Well, and they're not just in this area and in Baltimore. I know they're in California too, I believe.
Yeah,
I think they're traveling out there. It's national.
Okay. Yeah. So, excuse me. So yeah, so that's Michael's group. But I think it would be interesting for us to either have a larger funder conversation if possible, or at least bring them on when they can come on, because everyone's schedules are so varied, right? Mm-hmm. Just when they have more info to share. Or even in the case like with David Markey, I appreciate that he cares so much about our community, and he comes on every week and shares, even if he has nothing he can share. Yeah. So he's listening and paying attention to what's happening on the ground.
And let me also say, I don't know if anyone has ever worked with the DC Small Business Development Center. Mm-hmm. I got in contact with them earlier this year, and I'm so mad that I didn't get in contact with them before, but it's a free service to any of us who are DC residents that will walk us through the entire small business process. From wherever you are and whatever you're dealing with. And their main office is on Howell University's campus. And I can say that the director, Carl Brown, he has a podcast that he does weekly, but I can't speak for him, but I know him. We used to work together years ago. But I can invite him also to come, because he will probably also be a conduit of knowing where all these different resources are for small businesses. And I'm sure he would love to come and on a meeting for not just for the teaching artists, but for the entire DC collaborative. Oh, sure. So I'll put the information up here and make that.
Oh, that would be great. Thank you. Because a lot of you know, a lot of nonprofits are small businesses and they're eligible for these, especially community-based nonprofits. A lot of our friends, like whether it's Project Create or others, or the collaborative, you know, so that would be really helpful. And there's the info for it. Thanks, Devin. There's a lot of good content in today's chat. We'll have to make sure that one is absolutely transcribed and put out there. So this is very helpful. And we can start
I'm making it into a Google Doc. I'll put the link in here now. So
perfect. So, and that's a great repository that we all can look at and share and add to. It may not be perfect, but we will get as much info as we know it. We'll put it in there for each other. I think that'll be super helpful, and we'll help to push it out. Tracey just shared the Google. We'll follow up with messages to everyone about this new Google Sheet that we're creating too. Yeah, Devin, thank you so much. You've been, you've provided so much content today. This is so helpful. So I think that there are opportunities for those of us that are working really hard to find them. And it's really our job as community members to share those opportunities. There aren't as many as we feel there should be at the moment, but I think we'll continue to see more from the foundation community as they figure out what resources they even will have available. Plus they have to, then the program officers have to share that with their boards, and then their boards have to drive and make those decisions. So I see how it's not easy for them to make these quick turnarounds just because it's something it's not just impacting one industry or one area, it's everything. It's all of us, including their organizations, their foundations getting operational with teleworking too. You know, they've been impacted, everyone's been impacted by this. Plus not even knowing what their, you know, projections or what kind of cash they have at hand to distribute, you know, and how their investments are or how they're resourced as foundations. So I haven't taken a look at Chronicle Philanthropy yet this week. I've been tracking a lot of what they had been saying up to this point, but a lot of it is so speculative and uncertain. You know, to even have an idea of what is trending in philanthropy, what foundations are thinking, what are they predicting or prospecting for next year or even through the summer. But that's also why it would be great to hear directly from those that's their focus. So if they have the time even, and that's probably how we should preface this, even if they have nothing that they can directly share that they are doing other than just what they are, what they're learning, what they're thinking, not what they're committing to, I think would be very helpful for us. Just as we shared that info with K-Fritz, it would be great to hear from them too. Okay, so we'll follow up with a bigger conversation like that. It'll encompass not only just teaching artists, but all of our arts and humanities educating community and practice.
It seems obvious, like we should have definitely planned one of those.
Well, that's how this comes together, you know.
Yeah.
I think we will make that happen. You know, as we started this, and we've been talking with the staff too about these daily Zoom chats, we know that they've been really helpful for us too, just to feel connected to everyone and to you all, and for us to also continue to serve our community now more than ever. You know, that's our mission at the collaborative. So even if we can't give you funds that are very much needed, we can at least make these convenings happen and share as much info as we can, and pivot to what we are predicting the new trends in learning are going to be, and access, and what that is going to look like. And we've been doing our best. And I think that these daily Zoom chats for the first couple of weeks had a very real purpose of needing for us to come together quickly, even if we didn't know a lot. We still don't know that much, but we're learning more each week. Now Tracey has been setting up more curated conversations, which I think are really helpful. We want to make sure that that is the best approach. I mean, we should take a pulse of everyone that's on today's chat. You know, what are some of the things? Okay, funding for sure, we know that. Having a conversation with the funders, like Tracey said, oh, aha moment, yes, let's do it. What are some of the other conversations you think would be interesting that we should be thinking about as we look to curate moving forward. The staff has even said, should we continue to have these every day? I still feel there's a lot of content we can, because we want these to be driven by community too. But it'd be great to get kind of your pulse feedback on that as well. Tracey, is there anything else?
Sure. I just wanted to add that I'm trying to get people confirmed for each day, and it's taken us a little while to move from like just having these as like open office hours for anyone to talk with us to finding out what topics we're going to cover and then finding people. So now we have to just communicate that out ahead of time so people know which ones that they want to prioritize for the week if they can't come in every day. So we're hoping to have that out by Friday for next week's schedule. I can say that I contacted Jennifer Ridgway from Teaching Artists of the Mid-Atlantic, and she's confirmed for next Wednesday here. So that's kind of exciting. They're doing a lot of the self-care stuff. I've seen a lot of their resources. And it looks like they're doing once a week on Monday, and they're doing a happy hour on the 9th, tomorrow, in the evening. So she sent me a blurb and their logo for our website too. So that's kind of exciting. We haven't really worked with them before. So yeah, she seems great. But so the topics or the larger theme buckets right now, on Mondays, we always hear from David and Mary. So Mary Lambert from East Public Schools, David Markey. On Tuesdays, it's sort of open. We made last Tuesday about self-care. And I want to contact, I'm moving in my seat because I think some of these should be about movement, or maybe like start with a mindful meditation or something and do some kind of movement so we're not sitting in a chair the whole time. Wednesdays are for you guys as an open forum. Sylvia's, we also had an idea about doing a teaching artist showcase at some point, which is kind of cool. And I think that might be a good goal for Teacher Appreciation Week or something like that. That's the first week of May. And then Thursdays are like community of practice, so more like program development, out of school time, conversations like that. So far it's been members who want to showcase their own distance learning program. So we'll hear from Fareed at Pulitzer Center on Thursday. Next week, I think Freer Sackler might be presenting. And then Fridays are the equity conversations, and most of these themes are pretty broad, and except for, funding could fit into equity for sure, but I think having a specific funding conversation. But most of these themes can encapsulate a lot within arts and humanities education. So we left it broad on purpose. So definitely would like to hear you guys, and would like to see if any of you would like to lead one of these. Karen, go ahead.
Last night I sent an email to you and Trey and or the staff at Collaborative about a meeting I was in last night. I'm a part of the Teaching for Change Anti-Bias Study Group for Early Childhood, and we've been meeting since the fall. We meet once a month, and we did our first virtual meeting last night, and it is just full of amazing educators that are so, I thought I was ahead in social justice thinking and action, and I've always worked on doing that since I was raised by a radical in the South. But these people are just amazing, and I think they would be wonderful to bring on any day, but on Fridays for the equity would be great. So I've sent you some information, and I'm going to ask them if I can get a document of all the resources that we brought up last night, if I can share that with you, because the main focus was what is working and how to reach families and students and families in this atmosphere, in these days. It was fascinating. And there's also a little video on the coronavirus for young learners, for little tiny kids. And it's really good. It's a little cartoon. I thought it was good.
Great. I'm going to send this to Clarissa. I was asking some of the DC Collaborative team to help me curate these, because to find programming for like every day of the week was getting like to be a little bit much. So I'll forward this to Clarissa. I think it's a great idea. And Karen, if for the day when they present or when we reach out to them, if you'd like to intro us to them, I think that would be really helpful. So thank you.
And Tracey, let me also say that I don't consider myself a technological genius in any way or knowledgeable in any major way, but just out of necessity, I've been gathering a lot of information about best ways to convert really the technological aspect of going live, from microphones to the things I mentioned to you earlier, the power. I forgot what it's called now, but I literally just found out about that 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I just ordered equipment, and then I've been listening to other artists. So perhaps I don't mind leading a conversation about what I found, and then we can all share that information. And of course, I can also talk about my experiences with the equipment, so I can say whether it works, whether it doesn't work. And Karen, you had asked me about the what the Ethernet cable looks like. And so I'm gonna share my screen because I pulled one up on the other page. Let me see. See if I can pull that up. I don't know if can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, and so this is the Ethernet cable. It looks just like the old phone cables, but it's a lot thicker. And it goes and it plugs into the side of your computer. Now, newer computers may not have an Ethernet port, so you would need to get an adapter. And so it's like I say, so many little moving parts like that. But if you have an older computer, well, at least 2 years older, so it'll probably have a port where you can use for that. So
that's right, because Mac has gotten rid of those portals.
Right.
Yes.
You just need the coupler or whatever. Mac, just look for the accessory. They would have it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and look at the expense too, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
I think I have one of these. Yeah.
I feel like I might buried in one of our boxes from our move. I feel like these are those things you take everywhere you save, but you don't really,
You're afraid of throwing them away.
Right,
Oh, shit.
exactly.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I love that idea, Devin. And maybe it would be interesting. Maybe we could reach out to some of our friends at the Office of Cable, Film, TV, Media, Entertainment too, and see if under the 202 Creates moniker, if there's some folks they could recommend, and maybe you could help lead a conversation with them. That would be great.
Sure. I would love to do that.
Yeah. I know Ron, God, I haven't talked to him for a while, Ron Brown. He might be able to come on and help us out too. He's an awesome guy. That would be a great, between you and Ron and a couple other folks, I think that would be a great conversation.
I'll be glad to.
Oh, super. Thanks, Devin. Yeah, it's a great idea. I love it. The sooner the better. Yes, I agree. Okay. We'll follow up on that one for sure. I think the tech kind of sharing out, kind of an exchange of ideas. It doesn't mean that we're driving anyone to do the work any particular way. You know, we've tried to ask, like 2 Fridays ago, we had Katie from DCPS Arts on to try and make recommendations of what platforms they were using at DCPS or what would work. I think we're all, but that didn't address the mechanics of how to produce it physically, right, in your own space. So that kind of how-to is so important, even more so than the platform. It doesn't matter if it's Canva or ZoomChat or whatever. It's having the right tools in place, all the better. And that sort of speaks to, I think, where, and I know Reggie's not on the line, but when Reggie, we had a conversation with Reggie at some point where he was talking about, you know, getting the highest quality produced material and content out there. And we, at the moment, we were saying, okay, let's not let perfection get in the way of progress. But at the same time, we need to find the right ways to make this look clean, and the resources are there. We just need to share them, because we're not the collaborative. This is all new for us as well. But you all as producers, this is your new norm now too. You're going to have to produce this way. Okay, that's a great idea. Yes.
My husband is a guitar teacher. He did a recital with his students on Monday using ZoomChat, like password protected and everything. And the parents signed on too. And you could still hear like the students' technical ability, but the sound quality was kind of doing them a disservice. And all the parents still clapped and were really proud, of course. But like, I think students would feel better listening to a recording and with nice sound quality and everything too. But it was great for the coming together part of it, but the technology sort of did get in the way a little bit.
Yeah, that's very important. And that's one of the reasons why I haven't rushed out there yet, because I know what I need. I just haven't, I'm waiting on the packaging to come in. One is coming in today. And there's some ways that you can do it without breaking the bank either. You can do a lot with the iPhone or the Android phone. But knowing what to get and how to connect it all together is a little more difficult for me because I do drums and percussion. And so trying to get all those sounds the right way is difficult. But I think a session like that, we can talk about the best equipment that we know of for whatever discipline you're in. If you're doing art, if you're a photographer, whatever the case may be. And I think that'll be a good session.
It's a great idea. I love it. Yeah, if we could do that sooner than later, as Karen says, sooner the better. Yes. And then maybe with that goal of during Teacher Appreciation Week, having a teaching artist showcase. And then maybe that in the spirit of DIY, you'll have those affordable resources in place already. And it'll make your little demos all the better for that showcase, which I think would be really cool, because then we can invite all the institutions and the teachers to tune in, and similar to what our members fair would look like maybe, except it's on this platform, but we would want you all to have the right equipment for sure. And we just don't know what that is ourselves. We're learning. I like this idea a lot. I think that's great. They'll help teach us all together.
Would it be feasible to have a separate tech session, since maybe it's not too specialized, but I have no idea how many people are going to be interested in this. I imagine there are a lot, but I wonder if it should be a specific separate time, I mean, like I'm pushing this, but early next week, and just share what we've got so far, share our hurdles, share what works, do a simplified one, once a week, and just maybe we have a tech time, Tech Tuesdays or something every week. We can bring new ways of working.
Let's do it.
I don't want to add Zoom meetings because we're all in too many already, but
that's a real constructive, useful one. I like that.
Yeah.
What time are if music and visual arts educators wanted to come, do you know what time they're teaching until? Are they done?
What would be the best
time? Because just if they wanted to come too, I mean, these are recorded. But Clarissa mentioned that one teacher she spoke to at the public charter school board meeting that she was at yesterday. He's doing an African drum workshop, and he might have some like tech, solution for the drumming too. So I know music teachers and the visual arts teachers are having to adapt. So they might. What?
Who was that?
I don't know. I'll ask Clarissa.
Okay.
Someone from the Public Charter School.
Okay.
And, we can also reach out to Myrna Sislin. I don't know if you know that she's the owner of Middle C Music in DC.
Middle C Music, yeah.
And I was she's a former member of the National Association of Music Merchants, and they had a webinar on technology, and she's also the only full service music store in the city of DC. Mm-hmm. She would be interested, one, to let people know, because they're doing live online classes now, but the equipment that we might need, she would be interested, to be connected with us so that we can maybe get our equipment through her. So it's a win-win type of thing. So I can reach out to Myrna.
That would be great.
And see if she's interested or available once we come up with a time.
Yeah. This is something she did with NAM. Was this one?
Yeah, this was NAM. In fact, you know what? I will send that out too, because I just looked at that. They have a 1-hour video where they just had different people like Myrna that talked about how they were using technology. They didn't get into the nuts and bolts, but they talked about little stuff like, when you're doing training, don't do it in your pajamas, and have the camera turned this way, and just little things that you probably won't even think about. And yeah, exactly, because and so, but I'll send that. I'll find that. Let me see if I can find it and put this in the post before we leave, or if not, I'll add it to the thing, Tracey, that you were just creating.
Okay. Am I muted? No. I don't know. So Tuesday, I was about to reach out to Ingrid from Inner City Inner Child to see if she could do some movement, something during the self-care, but I haven't reached out to her yet. But I think Tuesday, I like the Technology Tuesday that Karen, you just came up with off the top of your head. And there's not a lot of self-care resources out there, because it is important, and not to move this, but Lissa, I'm wondering what you think. Should we at 11 do this technology chat? Okay.
You can always do, maybe self-care is later in the day, maybe it's, some folks are doing happy hours. I'm not encouraging, if you imbibe, that's awesome. Happy hour doesn't mean alcohol either, but it could be, or it could very well be, it includes alcohol. So it's up to us to figure out for self-care. We can frame that at a different time, but I do like Tech Tuesday. It's catchy. It kind of makes sense.
I think that's a Kojo Nambi term, so I don't want to be credit because I love him.
Well, maybe that'll get Kojo to cover us. Maybe. Oh,
that would be wonderful.
Kojo, we have a Tech Tuesday for you.
Oh
Actually, I will absolutely. I will reach out to Victoria, because this poor producer. I harassed her the first 2 weeks during COVID. Our first 2 weeks, I was emailing her Messenger like almost every day for the first 2 weeks. Like, let's talk about this. But yeah, I bet maybe that's the way to get it on. And Marie, I wanted you to be able to share a little bit more about what you guys are doing with your youth radio program, because Devin might be able to help you out there too, because he does a radio program.
No, I agree. Yeah, we're just trying to figure it out. We found that a lot of our young people are just really overwhelmed with the DCPS things right now, and getting online and accessing computers and kind of figuring out how it all works, especially for kids who that might not be how they learn best. So it's been a bit of a challenge, and that's kind of what we're hearing. But we're really trying to gear up to get young people organized to get back to doing youth commentaries and vox pops, and we do a number of things, but like transitioning them to do it on their phones. And a lot of our visual art things are sort of, I think, on hold, and we're trying to go with more the digital things that we can do online with our young people.
Yeah. I love the idea of more youth radio, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Maybe that's something we should tell Kojo.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Kojo, we've got some kids for you to come on.
Yeah.
Let them run the Tech Tuesday.
That
Talk
would be
about
great.
the challenges they have. Yeah, actually, that would be really interesting.
Maybe we have to think of another name.
I think it's a good working name, and if Kojo if Kojo, if they hear it and recognize it, that's a win. I think that's fine. Because I'll definitely follow it up and share with Victoria. Also, a board member of ours, Ethelbert, is good friends with Kojo too. So I'll ask Ethelbert, like, hey, Ethelbert, can you just share with Kojo a little bit about this? And I'm sure he would be happy too. So
Tom, I love the steampunk projection.
Oh my gosh, what's going on today?
Yeah, the time machine is up and running here. I'd like to showcase what I've been working on sometime next week.
Yeah, let's do it.
Share a screen and go over my download screens and what I'm creating for distance learning, and get some feedback on how it might match the curriculum of the school.
Oh, sure. I would love it. That's a fun way to talk Tech Tuesday too. Yeah, that would be fun. You can kick off the meeting.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I wanted to share something, Marie, you just brought up. You said that visual arts, it's harder to have that happening right now, but my bookmaking video I sent to DPS, and it didn't get on the TV because I had trouble downloading it and sending it, but they've sent it out to the DCPS teachers, and I'm going to ask them if it can be shared more widely, because I think something, once it's created, I want to send it to more people. I just don't think there's any reason to duplicate it again for for almost the same audience. And it's extremely visual, and you don't have to speak English to understand it, because I've known Latin American Youth Center since it was started, you know, when I lived in Adams Morgan. So I would love to share it with you guys and other organizations.
That would be great. Yeah.
And
I'm working on something like that. It probably is materials that they have at home already. See, the issue is we do a painting class with this amazing artist, but our young people don't have paints and canvases at home. So that's a little more challenging.
This is all with recycled materials and printer paper. It was,
that would be great.
So yeah. And I'm working on some more just out of recycled materials and simple techniques. So I'd love to share that.
Yeah. And I know Mary Lambert was talking about this too, right, Tracey?
Yeah.
That might be something we can incorporate there.
Yeah. And Karen, we'd love to upload it to our, did you send it to us for distance learning, the distance learning database?
I don't know how I can share it yet. So, I mean, I can share it physically, you know, I just don't know permission wise, because it was coming from DCPS and WPA was funding it. So,
got it.
So I don't know. I just have to ask both of them today, you know, but knowing them, I think they're going to let me broadcast it. I don't know. Or I can redo it, you know, but I don't, you know, this is a new area, so I don't want to step on anyone's toes yet.
Yeah, no, that's
too early. I'll do that later.
I'd like to share that through Project Zero DC, they put out a compilation of museum and digital resources for learning at home. And this was in their last newsletter, and I can send that to you so we can get that up. But, you know, I'm noticing that the museums are putting on teaching classes, like the National Gallery on April 7th. They had one for teaching critical thinking through art. And then on Mondays, and let me see, get this back.
Oh, we need to get those on the calendar, or at least for sure.
And Mondays and Wednesdays at 1 o'clock at the Smithsonian, easy peasy, Project Zero with the Smithsonian.
Cool.
And so in this newsletter, they have so many resources that I think we should share with.
Yeah, if we can, we'll take a look.
Send you this.
It's the Project Zero. Okay.
I got that yesterday. Jim Reese presented at one of our PD institutes, like in 2015 or something. Do you think you want to come on to?
I have contacted him when we first came on with our database. Before launching the database, I invited him. I sent him a couple of new emails, but I can send him another one and ask him. He would be great to come on one day and talk. And I'm sure he would be willing to. It's just that he's probably so busy right now.
I'm sure. He retweeted our our database, which was nice of him. I mean, for what that's worth. But
he's great. You know, so, and Project PZDC is really a big organization in this community, you know, so.
Okay.
I'll send him another email.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, this was really helpful conversation today, guys. We've got some good content to move forward with. And we'll make sure that all of that Project Zero info is also folded into our database, and the calendar that we have started, which is sort of our second wave of what we want to get out there. So we'll make sure that we'll start to populate with dates like of events like the ones that were there. I love the idea of this Tech Tuesday, and we'll follow up with you. And Devin, if you can help in getting that coordinated. Tracey also will talk to Clarissa.
For Friday, the Tuesday.
Tuesday we can do. That's right. Sorry. Yeah, and for the Friday one, but getting this idea out there sooner rather than later, I think, is important. And then we could all work on planning together what a teaching artist kind of demo or showcase or whatever we want to call it, sort of like what our members fair looks like. For those of you that know the members fair that we usually would do at the Kennedy Center. Last year we actually did it somewhere else, but finding a way to do that virtually and maybe having our tech chops up a little bit before that in May would be great. And yes, let's reach out to Kojo again. We will get on the show. It won't just be Lissa hijacking as a caller. I am probably his most popular caller. Anytime there's something that kind of remotely sounds like something about the arts or kids and art, I'm there. And Karen was a good scout for me too, and getting me on. But I will always get on that way. But one day, I feel sort of like, who was that actress from the soap opera days? Always gets nominated, never gets the award. Like sort of like I'm always on, but not ever really as a guest, you know. So we'll get it so that maybe it doesn't have to be me, but I want us as a community to be on, you know, to be talking about our work, and we'll get there. So maybe Tech Tuesday is the route. We'll see.
And Devin, if you want to start by contacting Middle C Music and copy me. Maybe Tom can open up the meeting on Tuesday. That would be cool. Okay.
That would be fun. Oh my gosh, I'm excited. Okay.
Myrna. Okay.
Myrna, yeah. It's getting ready. Look at the light show happening right now. It's ready. He wants to go now.
And then Marie, I would love to feature your radio program too. So maybe we can do some of the Middle C music, like the first half hour, and the second half hour. Would you need a full 30 minutes to discuss that program?
I don't think so. I think what we're struggling with right now is just getting it up and going in the virtual world. I'd almost like to maybe hold off like a week.
Okay, sure.
Kind of see, we're trying to like get young people together, and that's been a bit challenging right now.
Okay. Cool. So Devin, I'll hear from you, and Tom, you're on every day. But Tom, if you could be set up for Tuesday, that would be great. And then Marie, I'll wait to hear from you about whenever you're ready.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay. Wow. This is very productive. Thank you guys.
Yes. Right.
All right. Well, I'm going to go eat lunch.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Thank
Thank you
you.
all.
Thank you.
Everyone be well. I'm really excited about next week. This is going to be
Yes.
fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay,
Take
bye-bye.
care. Bye-bye.
Oops. Why am I not?